Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Clairaudience. And this is their podcast, Couples Synergy.
Welcome back to another episode of Couples Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean, and this is our podcast about love, marriage, and relationships.
Be sure to check us out online on our Facebook page and Instagram at Couples Synergy or our website, couplesynergy.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast or send us any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear more about. And now on to Couples Synergy, an in-depth look at love, marriage, and relationships, where we bring you our experience helping thousands of couples transform their relationships for nearly 20 years.
Everyone says you need to work on a relationship, but nobody teaches us how. So we've created this podcast to teach people what they can do to create the relationship they've always dreamed of with the partner they fell in love with.
Before we get into today's episode and welcome today's guest, I just want to read one of our reviews that came in, which is really awesome.
Where's it from?
It is from the U.S., and the title is Best Personal Growth. And so they say, Ray and Jean's podcast is such a good listen. I always take away something to help in personal growth as well as keeping my marriage in check. None of us have all the answers. Listening to them helps me to take an objective look at myself and my relationship. They are an awesome power couple.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. That was really awesome.
We love hearing from people. That's really great.
And so on today's episode, we have
Sheri
Jewel.
Sheri Jewel. And Sheri is a medium, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm a psychic medium.
Cool.
Is there a difference between a psychic and a medium?
Yes.
What's the difference?
So a psychic reads energy, from like your aura, your energy. A medium gets their information from spirit. So basically every medium is a psychic. Not every psychic's a medium.
And how long have you been doing that?
Well, probably about 10 years.
So how does one become this?
That's a good question. Hell if I know. No. Did I set out to do this? No. I was a hairdresser, quit working at 30, raised my kids, and then basically had a perfect life destroyed. And I think that spiritual people tend to go through, whether it's grieving, divorce, whatever, there's a catalyst. Mm-hmm. And basically had a, perfect life, North Shore life, perfect, destroyed. My child was sick. My dad got sick. There was something else. There was just a bunch. It was just like one catastrophe after another in my family. And then it did go through a period of depression, which I never had, and anxiety. And then one day, I woke up a medium. I think that our soul has a purpose, and sometimes we have to go through traumatic events to break, our heart open to get to our soul.
Have you ever had anyone look at certain things like your life path or your astrology chart or something that looks at the cycles like numerology that you've been a part of that shows you that maybe this was always part of your plan?
Yeah, well, I haven't had that all done. But from my own experience, like my spirit coming to me and my higher self did show me like many of my past lives that brought me to, doing this now. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why when I woke up a medium, I didn't go through training. I didn't go through school. It was just like a natural thing to me because I think we have that knowledge from the past. I definitely feel it is a soul's mission thing, and I was just the last one to know.
So when you say that you woke up a medium, was that you woke up and then all of a sudden, spirit was talking to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened is I remember this actually. What I really remember vividly is I was calling a psychic because I was, wondering what the hell's, going to happen in my life with everything going on. And she goes, Archangel Michael's with you. And in my head, I'm like, lady, you're crazy. Angels aren't real. I mean, I'm Catholic, but I never went to church or I did at Christmas. Angels to me were just like a statue. I never thought that could be real. It was just not on my radar. I wasn't spiritual. And this lady goes to me, as she's reading me, she goes, Archangel Michael's with you. And I'm like, yeah, okay, lady, you're nuts. Honest to God, I'm not lying. I felt something stand behind me, and I felt every wing like embrace like my whole body like that and like closed around me. And I just felt this like unconditional love and bliss. And like this love that you feel in your heart is like something you can't even explain as a human. So my response, I do swear, I'm a swearing medium, was like, I go to the lady, I'm like, oh shit. She's like, what? I'm like, I was just hugged by an angel. She's like, lady, I told you. I said, well, I didn't think it was real. So then Archangel Michael definitely became part of my journey and still is.
Wow.
He's come to me quite a few times and it really kind of blows my mind.
So when you had that experience, it didn't feel scary or like weird or what the heck is this? And
Well, it's weird.
Yeah. But it was peaceful and loving and you knew it. It was familiar.
Yeah, that's weird is it's like, it's just a feeling that you can't explain as a human. So I guess once we're dead, it'll be that kind of feeling of divine love. Mm-hmm. It's like it like pierces your heart and this energy goes through you where you just know you were like touched by the divine in your heart, but then my entire body became really peaceful too. And you can't explain it. I mean,
do you know maybe why it happened to you? Like, is there kind of like this, was there a bigger plan?
Well, apparently there was. Again, like I said, I was the last one to know. So I'm a big automatic writer too. So what started happening to me is the angel started taking over my hands and writing messages to people. And I'm sitting there like, typing and I'm trying not to hit enter. Like, I want to see who's going to win. It's my body. I lost every time. So they started doing that. And then I started like falling into these trances naturally. I guess it would be like meditation, but I wasn't intentionally doing it. And like I said, they had me write down a few of my past lives. This is pretty funny. The one of them was, they told me I was a Hindu prophet in the 1800s and I was captured and killed for talking truth. And they basically told me the reason I chose to come back this lifetime was not to be shut up. And I was told in those words. I'm like, I don't know all this stuff, but it just comes. So yeah, it's just, I think your soul knowledge comes out.
Do you have a sense of being a separate entity from spirit and spirit working through you, or does it just sort of come as a knowingness?
So like when I do like a mediumship gallery event or even individual readings, I think part of why I do well is I let spirit like blend with me. So let's say you have a grandfather that's dead and he had a leg cut off. They will give me that message in my body, like I feel it, and all of a sudden I start acting like them and I'll start limping. It doesn't happen with every spirit, but a lot of spirits do tend to take over. And like if they died of a heart attack, my heart hurts. So, that's an empath thing too. So I think that I just allow them to come close because I'm not afraid.
Can you disallow?
Yeah, I've tried that. It doesn't always work.
Got it.
They tend to always win. But yeah, as a medium or a psychic or whatever, you definitely should have boundaries. But my problem is it just still seems to come. I have a battle with that sometimes.
Ray, does the feeling that she was describing of that love, is that what you experienced in your near-death experience?
Yeah, I spoke about this in a previous podcast about my near-death experience, and that feeling of freedom, ultimate freedom, and love and peace, and just this.
Can you explain it?
Pure, yeah. It's really, words can't really explain that feeling.
It's just so much love. I mean, it's
right.
Or like a bliss, or a.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Do people who've crossed over have pain?
I feel they're fine when they cross over. I think they worry about us. They want us to be okay.
So if someone's lost someone to like suicide, that person is out of their pain.
Yes, I believe so. I don't know why, but I tend to do a lot of dead teenagers. Mm-hmm. A lot of, especially boys, a lot of boy teenagers come to me that, it could be a drug overdose, especially with all this fentanyl or whatever that stuff's called, or suicides. And they usually do come back with regrets and apologies. And it's more to, again, I think they do see what their death, what kind of pain it caused their parents, their family, their loved ones. So I think they're fine, but I do think that they do have a need to come through to their loved ones to say, hey, I'm okay. I'm sorry. It's not your fault.
So more for closure, but they're not necessarily in pain. They're just concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that, until we're all dead, how do we know what really the truth is, right?
Right.
But I 100% believe that we all just cross over and we're all good.
What's that question about, are we still in a relationship?
Yeah, this is when you go in Google autofill, right? So if you go and you do Google autofill about like
Our
couples still a relationship or still have a relationship after they die,
Are they still a couple?
or are they
Yeah.
still a couple? That actually is a very interesting question, and I don't know if you.
I mean, I've had, when I do, all I can do is, my truth is, I'm kind of a rebel. So my truth is what my experiences are. I don't believe everything I read. I believe that we probably all have a choice if we want to hang out with that person. But I know when I do readings, let's say if your mom or dad came through, they're going to come in together because that's what you expect.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like people say like, spirit can come to me and show me their image, because I see clairvoyantly, could show me themselves like what they look like as the 80-year-old mom that died, or they could choose to make it look like a 30-year-old. Mm-hmm. So I think, at least for readings, I feel they come in together and showing you they're together because that's what you expect and that's what you know. And that's what you would know them as evidence.
but they don't necessarily exist like that.
Well, they could.
in spirit world.
But
They could,
can.
right?
I mean, I
Wow.
guess I think that would be an individual
Yeah.
choice, because then, I always question that too, because then we have past lives. Do you want to be with a past life lover? I don't know. Right? So it's kind of, I think
like
it's
my dad
individual.
died 20 years ago. My mom's remarried.
That is actually one thing I've questioned. I'm like, no, wait a minute. What if someone got divorced? They're going to go with their first wife or their second?
Right.
Or do they just all get along and coexist?
Right.
If everything's love
Right.
and non-judgment over there.
Have you read Journey of Souls by Michael Newton?
I did years ago.
And so there's some interesting things that he says that we build in 5 exit points in our life. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
I've heard that and I've seen that with some people. Like I have a friend. Well, he was a client, became my friend. His son died. Actually, I'll introduce you to him. But his son died about 4 years ago. And if you looked at that kid's life, I mean, like he fell down like mines, like holes in the ground.
Like an actual mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
He's flipped cars and stuff, and he finally did die. But I do feel he had many exit points, and he had angels come to him, and he chose to live. So 100%, I do believe that we have exit points. I can't tell you we have 5. I can't tell you the number, but I think there's definitely in the realm of possibilities that if you want to check out, you can.
The other thing he talks about is that we're not 100% here, whatever is our soul, right? And that maybe is the thing that you're talking about when someone shows up. They show up as that part of who they were when they were here, but more parts of them might be busy somewhere else.
Yeah, true. And to me, like we're all a spirit, living in our human body. I think I know for at least for myself, and I'm sure everybody else, but I believe that our spirit, like I've had friends call me in California. They're like, and this is when I'm awake, not asleep. They're like, Sheri, you're in California. I'm like, no, I'm in Chicago. They're like, no, we're all mediums here. And they're like, Sheri's here. So I do believe our spirit can go visit other places, other people. I do believe that when we're sleeping, our spirit's out doing things. And I kind of believe too, like, people with dementia, how like sometimes they're here, sometimes they're not. I actually think they're kind of spending half the time in the spirit world, half here.
Oh, okay.
So
I've
that's-
had that thought.
Yeah.
Like they're
Getting
in-
ready to transition. Like they're almost, yeah. So anything's possible. I just like to keep an open mind. Like I said, until we're really dead, who knows the truth, but
And before you had this, would you call it a gift?
I
Or an
definitely
ability?
feel, yeah, it's an ability. And I believe that we're all psychics, and I think we're all mediums. I'm not saying we all should have to work doing it, but I believe we're all intuitive. I think it's all part of our spirit, that's who we are. What was your question?
So, was there sort of a line in your life when you weren't and then you were? And who were you then, and how did that change who you are now?
I like my life. It's completely different. So basically, I was just a mom. Like I said, I was a hairdresser until I was 30. Then I was just a house mom, housewife, raising my kids, not spiritual at all. And once this happens to you, and I'm sure because you've had a near-death experience, everything's different. Like your thought perception's different. The way you look at life is different. The way you look at problems and everyday things. I think you learn to just roll with things more. And I live in synchronicity. Hence, look why I'm sitting here.
Right.
Okay. I don't go
Because
looking
apparently you can meet people on Facebook and invite them down to your basement.
Can you believe this? And you guys, you got to see their basement. You guys got to post a picture of this place. It's cool. But Yeah, it's life changing. I think once any kind of divine experience you have or connection you make, there's, like I always say, there's no way to going back to normal. So to me, this is normal now.
One of the most important things I learned in going through that experience is that at the end, at the hour of our death, the only thing that really matters are the relationships that we have,
yes.
the relationships we built with people, right? And so that's why I find this topic very, fascinating and interesting, just because, I went up to the threshold of the door. The door was opened. I didn't cross over that threshold.
You actually saw it?
A figurative door,
yeah.
right? But the feeling of that, of coming up to that door and the door being open and having that choice. And I chose not to cross over that threshold. But, what happens, when you do cross over into that threshold? And then why would people want to try to communicate, to people that are still here through you?
Right. Yeah, and I think that really the main reason spirit comes, to a medium is to help their loved one, to show that, hey, life is eternal. I mean, like, people be like, how do you know you really talk to dead people? I'm like, I feel it in my body. They take over. Like, I'll start talking like them. So I think that's where the mediumship is. Some people like look at it as, oh, it's just hocus pocus or hoo-hoo. But it's really just another method of healing. Because some people really grieve. Imagine losing a child or a spouse or whatever. If a medium is good and they can really bring that personality and even, the words, the personality, the mannerisms all through to their loved one, the healing that goes to the grieving person is just amazing. So, and I think that's another part of a medium's job, is to prove that life is eternal. We're not alone. They come. I mean, I've had spirit put their hands on me and I feel all their fingers. I've been hugged, and that's why they come through, because they love their loved one. They want to be like, hey, we're still here, It's okay.
I have a client I've been working with, and she had a 35-year-old son pass away in a car accident on July 4th. And then within 2 months, 3 months, her husband passed. And she has gone to mediums, and she feels her son all the time. Her son comes through all the time, but not her husband. Yeah. Does that make any sense to you? And
yes.
What do you think about that?
That she has more of the need for her son, and the son has more of a need for her. I mean, the loss of a child. And I'm sure the son is with the father. But the dad
says that. He says he's there.
Yeah. But the dad just steps back, because spirit, I mean, like, even when I say something to a client, like in a reading, and they're like, no. I'm like, listen, I don't believe you. I believe the spirit. They know what the human needs. They know what their loved one needs. So dad's probably just standing back because he knows.
Do you think there's something to do with their ability to control their spirit to try to communicate? Is that a factor at all?
Who's trying to control it?
The spirit on the other side. Like, they're not able to quite overtake you, or whatever is the thing they do. Yeah. That they don't have enough mastery of controlling their energy to try to communicate.
So do I believe some spirits can communicate better than another? 100%.
Yeah.
Because, I do a lot of readings, and sometimes it is more vague and just little things. Other times it's like, yeah, Joe's here, and he worked at the auto body shop. So definitely I feel there's a different energy with some spirits, and I definitely think some can communicate better than others, and maybe some don't even want to.
Yeah.
If they didn't like you here, they might not like you there. They'd be like, yeah, I'm done. Didn't have to get divorced. I'm out,
Now, here's a question I have, and that's about negative spirits. What are your thoughts about that? Does it exist? And if so,
people say yes.
Yeah.
I've never had a bad experience.
Okay.
So I can only speak from my own journey. I don't use protection. I don't do all these things that everyone says to do. My experience is, I'm sure there are negative energies and entities, sure. But I don't, my mind, I think that we can create that. So I don't even think
it's
of
a law
that.
of attraction.
I mean, if I was afraid or fearful, I would not be doing this. One time I did have one thing that was kind of weird. It was a dead person, but he got in bed with me.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm like laying there, like going to sleep. I'm on my side. And I honest to God felt this body like a human. I knew it was a man. It felt like a human man's body, like spooning me, like laying next to me. And I'm like, well, you guys can't see me on the radio, but like my eyes are bulging, and in my head, I'm like, oh shit, what do I do? You know? And,
Just say no.
and I'm sitting there like, well, in being a medium, a lot of it's telepathy, right? So I'm thinking, and I'm like, wait a minute, this guy can read my mind. So finally, I just knew I had to like stand up, and I just jumped up and said, get the, bleep out of here, and it's my bed, and get out. So I really believe that, we set our own boundaries, but I do think there are people that entertain some things, or their fear can bring it.
No.
So I, choose your thoughts carefully. Like my focus was always on angels, God, and the higher vibrations. Now, if you're going ghost hunting, guess what you're going to get?
Right.
But a ghost to me is just spirit also.
And what would you think about that? The ghost hunters usually are, coming across someone who is in pain or trapped. I don't know if you have an idea about that.
I mean, that's definitely not my expertise. I believe that we all cross over. And I just think that the spirit has a choice to hang around or not. Again, somebody else would totally disagree with me. But again, that's not really my, genre. So,
Right.
So there wouldn't be like a confused spirit that doesn't know how to go through the door, whatever that
people
is.
say that. People say they get stuck. And sure, it's possible. I just think that maybe the spirit has a choice and decides to hang. If you liked your bar, he's going to be in your bar. Or people will be like, as a medium, you can't go in a bar. I'm like, why not? They're like, you can't have a drink there because you're too open and spirit will attach to you and come home with you. I'm like, why would they want to come home with me? They're going to have more fun in the bar. I mean, so I don't really even believe in spirit attachments. I mean, sure, can a spirit follow me around? I have especially before I do an event or a gallery, spirits in my house and around me the day of the event or a couple days before. I hope nobody's staying. I mean, I try my best. I was like, get out. But that's it is. It's just setting your boundaries, and it's really, I think, important to have yourself at a higher vibration. And I think that's when you come from love, I think you're naturally more protected and your vibration's high, that stuff can't touch you.
Do you ever have the experience where you're, I don't know, in the mall or something and someone walks by you and you're like, ugh.
I knew you were going to ask me this question. That popped in my head earlier. Have I given a message like in a store? Yeah, it's not normal, but we do work for spirit. I'm not going to run around Jewel or the grocery store being like, oh, I got this person. But I have had it like one time I was in Walgreens and something told me to go to the pharmacy. And I was going in there to buy whatever. I wasn't going to the pharmacy. But in my head, I go to the pharmacy. I'm like, okay, there's medicine I could pick up. I'll do it. Standing in line, and all of a sudden I start feeling weird. So like when spirit comes to me, I get hyper because their energy like makes me like get anxiety almost. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. And then all of a sudden the lady in front of me just turned her head for some reason and said hi to me. I'm like, hi. And ended up, she went to preschool with my son and I recognized her. So we did start talking. Next thing you know, her dead sister came through.
Wow.
So yeah, spirit can guide you to get you where you're going to be. They'll get you in a conversation. And the next thing you know, you're giving a message and I guess I have a choice not to, but it really becomes, it's just coming out my mouth.
Yeah.
So do I make a normal practice this? No, but has it happened? Sure.
So what kind of reaction did you get from her?
Oh, she loved it.
Okay.
She was crying
Wow.
because, her and her sister had some issues and the sister was coming through saying sorry and I love you. So the woman really needed it.
Did you ever have a negative experience trying to be open with someone who wasn't maybe ready?
Had a family funeral.
Oh.
Wow.
Maybe they weren't ready.
Well, it's relatives that he didn't know. So my dad's, I think was it brother? My dad's brother-in-law had died. And this was only maybe a year or two ago. I'm at the church. I didn't know they're Lutheran. I don't know the Lutheran religion. I don't know beliefs or whatever. So just afterwards, I just felt my uncle there the whole time. So when I was leaving, I said, hey, just so you know, your dad was here. She looks at me, my own family. But like I said, I haven't seen her in 20 years. She looks at me, she goes, we don't believe in that. And I'm like, oops. So yes, I guess
I
in
think
my own
family's
family,
always tough.
You gotta love it. Yes, that can happen.
This might be a little off topic and might not be something you know anything about, but for whatever reason in the last year, we've dealt with people that have gone through a lot of traumas. And in particular, people that have been in war. And I've noticed this pattern that a lot of their processing happens in the middle of the night when they're sleeping. Mm-hmm. And they wake up or they actually are doing things in their sleep. Do you have any knowledge of what's going on there?
I know a lot about that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's how my journey started. So people think it's all hoo-hoo, but it's actually like, you got your beta, gamma, theta waves in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when the brain gets in that theta state, that's when we're receiving messages or interacting. And as I said earlier, I think our spirit does a lot of work in our sleep. So my journey actually started with, well, first I got the angel hug and stuff. Next thing you know, I was having like these really vivid, like lucid dreams that, like, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, do you dream in color? I'd be like, I don't know. These are in color. They are 3D. You've had them. They are 3D. You are interacting. And the main thing is you remember them vividly when you wake up. You don't forget them. I can't even tell you. So like I was showing people in my sleep, and then I would meet them in a week or two. So I get like a lot of prophetic dreams and messages and teachings and knowledge come through in my sleep. Like they've given me messages like be merciful, be benevolent. I don't know those words. I had to Google them. I'm like, that's not a Sheri word. Anyone knows me. I don't use like those big, old fashioned words. And I'd look them up. What does that mean? I'm like, oh, okay. And I call them like soul words. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like our higher self or soul or whatever spirit, whatever word, to me, it's all the same thing, does communicate and does teach us these things. And I definitely believe 100% that our dead relatives or loved ones in spirit do visit us in our sleep. And that is usually around that 3 o'clock time. Because that's when our brain is because our brain's in that theta state.
We're more receptive at that point.
Yeah, it's whatever the brain, wave you're in is in that deep enough state. Like you can meditate into like the theta state.
So if they're re-experiencing a trauma or having a night terror or something like that, are they processing? Are they?
Well, yeah, that can happen too. I think your fears, your subconscious mind works out a lot of things in your dreams. Mm-hmm. But if you're actually interacting, so that's the difference we got to figure out. Is it a lucid dream where you're actually interacting with spirit, or is it just your subconscious trying to work things out? And definitely the fear stuff that sits in your subconscious mind definitely can come up in dreams, and it's almost like it's trying, like your brain's way or your subconscious way of trying to heal that. Mm-hmm. It's.
I've heard there's a difference between being visited by a loved one in your dreams or dreaming about them.
Oh, yeah, totally. I think that we sure could dream about our loved ones. But when they visit you, you know it. It's until you've had that experience, you can't explain it as you've been through stuff. When it happens, you know it's real. Mm-hmm. I mean, because you feel it in your heart, even though you're asleep. You remember having the conversations or what they say. Like my mom died just last July, and on the second or third day she was dead. And a lot of times you'll get the stuff right before you're waking up because you remember it. And I saw my mom smiling, I'm like, oh, okay, good. Thanks, Ma, you're here, So it could be that brief. It's just a second, it doesn't have to be a big, huge experience.
What about signs?
I get all that. Well, a lot of people think cardinals, butterflies, dragonflies can be signs from spirit. But there's other signs like license plates. Like I've been driving down the street and I'll see a billboard. Let's say if I was coming here, right? I might see your name on a billboard. So I think that, but the trick is so many people when they first get on this journey think everything is a sign. And I'm always trying to I'm really logical too. I'm like, guys, if you're meant to see it, like, a lot of people are saying 111 in the numbers, you're going to randomly pick up your phone and see 111. But if you're thinking of looking for it, that's not a sign.
Right.
Like when I first started, I would see like Karma license plates or Write a Book license plates. But I wasn't looking at the license plates. It was just something my head naturally went there, like I was guided. And then that license plate or those numbers or whatever would almost be glowing to me, like popping out at me.
Right.
But where I think a lot of people, when they, like I said, get on it, they think every bird. Like I have 2 cardinals in my yard for years. They're not a sign from spirit. These birds have been here for 20 years.
And also the opposite, like if you're there, show me the cardinal, and the cardinal doesn't show up, and then that's their sign.
I always say too, like with the birds and stuff, it's more of when
you're not looking for it.
You're not looking for it, and maybe the animal's doing something weird. Like at the very beginning, I actually remember this. It just came back to my mind. When, even probably before the angel, one of the first things I had was a possum sitting on top of my fence. I actually have a picture of it. Forgot about this. And this possum was just sitting on this fence looking at me. But it was scary because its eyes were glowing at me. So I got both my dogs, and I have a witness. My kid was there, my son. And I got my dogs in. Now, a possum plays dead or runs away. So I'm screaming. This thing's just sitting there. It's not going to sleep. It's not running away. It's just sitting there like staring at me. And its eyes would just follow me, and they creeped me out. Like there was like spirit in this thing's eyes. I was scared. And my son was like 12 at the time. So I got my dogs in. I go, get a camera. We're going back out. So we go back out there, and the possum is still sitting there looking. And we're both like, what the heck? And then I don't know why, because I didn't even know I was psychic then. It was just, I think I was just starting to have weird experiences. And I looked at the possum. I said, okay, dude, thank you. You're flipping me out. You're scaring me. Will you please get off my fence? You guys, I'm not kidding. It looked at me. It climbed down the fence. I'm like, oh, great. I'm Dr. Doolittle now. And then I go, hey, wait a minute, possum. I think it was on the other side of the fence. I'm like, come back tomorrow so I know you're really hearing me and this is real. You guys, I completely forgot. The next day I go out, that darn possum was in the same spot.
Wow.
So do you think that spirit like working through the animal, like taking over the animal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you hear people like having a butterfly land on them in the winter. You know,
Yeah.
did you guys lose a baby? Why is a baby popping in my head? Miscarriage or abortion or anything?
Wow. This was with like a girlfriend that I had.
Yeah, because all of a sudden, like, I feel like there's a baby here. Sorry.
Yeah, we had an abortion, yeah.
Yeah. So you just need to know the baby's okay. And you're still its father. So when you do cross over, you'll probably meet that baby.
Wow. Do you know if it's a girl or a boy?
I'm not getting that information right now, no. I just, right away, because I'm Clairaudience, all of a sudden I just kept hearing, say baby, say baby. Is this something, okay. Oh, sorry, the baby's talking. Is this something that you still have regrets about or guilt?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry to hit you with this. So this is how it happens. I can't plan it. So I just feel like this baby's coming in to let you know, I want to say he, okay, but well, you know, you'll find out. But I have no way to prove it to you. So, but I feel like the baby's here to like just, if you could, let go of some of this guilt, shame, regrets you have, and just give this to this baby right now. And the baby's with like, I feel you have a grandmother that's passed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do.
So the baby's with your family.
Wow.
And I do feel it's a he. I keep hearing like, he doesn't want you to feel guilty anymore. So is this something you've really been like, okay, right now I'm also feeling like a tightening in your chest. Is this something that is really like, let's say, is deep down in your heart?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to release that now. Okay. It's time to live and be happy and not have those regrets. And the baby doesn't blame you for something. So you must think that the baby blames you.
Wow. That was, that really, really helped.
And that's what you need. And that's what I believe me. And this probably just happened to show, yes, a baby that has not been born. Animals have souls. Okay, I talked to a lot of dead animals too. A miscarriage and abortion, they're still souls. And they still cross over. They didn't have human form, but they are still an entity. Like they're still a being, you know?
You know, I think the fact that you brought up his grandma is significant because his ex-girlfriend, she called our house after we were married and to tell him that, oh, it's your grandma's birthday or the day she passed or something. Like it was the only time we had a conversation with her, and it was around your grandma, which is interesting.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but you definitely have you have a lot of love from the spirit world around you. And maybe that's why you're doing some of this and, the near-death experience and talking to me or having like-minded people on, your show. You're here for a reason. That's why you didn't check out.
I firmly believe
and
that.
You have a lot more work to do.
Absolutely.
And spirit is using you. You actually channel.
I do.
Yes, he does.
Okay? So you're
And
actually...
he
Which
doesn't
is
like
not
it.
very comfortable for me. Really.
Just let it fly.
Yeah. It's, I will... That's why this is a very fascinating topic, just because I can feel sometimes, a presence. And, it's not something that I have just kind of opened myself up to.
It's time. That's why I'm sitting here.
I would totally agree with that. I think that when you're relaxed and natural and you have so much wisdom, and then sometimes you try to control it and you're like, oh, I can't find my words,
Right.
And
Well,
I would love that for you too, if you could just...
Well, that's it. Like, sometimes, I talk very casually, you can see. So, like I said earlier, when I say like a big word like benevolent or something like that, even in my galleries, I'll say some things I'm like, yeah, that's not me. I don't even know that word, So that's when you're channeling, or like you might just be talking to me or another guest or you're out in the store or whatever. And you're probably giving messages to people and you don't even know it.
Oh, there are many times that we're in session with clients and, a client will say, what was that thing that you said last week, just really stuck with me the entire week. It really changed my perspective. And I won't remember, a lot of times I'll come out of session. I don't remember what I said.
That's when you're channeling.
Absolutely. No, I know that, it's, I'm getting into this frequency and it is not me. Right. And I'm able to just connect with the client at that heart level and be able to help them in their deepest
Well, I think
pain.
what you're in the now moment, that's where the, beautiful, the beauty happens and the miracles happen is in the now.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool because that would mean that you're really paying attention to your client and listening and guiding them and giving them what they need.
Yeah.
You've
absolutely.
done that. You're a monk in a past life.
A monk?
I think so.
Wow.
Have you ever heard that?
No.
Can you talk about, if you know, is the soul of an aborted child, is that part of their journey and their contract as well? And are those, well, you talk about it.
So, people have different beliefs and seriously, all this stuff I truly believe is just a belief. Again, until we're really dead, who knows the truth? My understanding, a lot of people, spiritual people believe that we've written these contracts like we're all an actor in a play. So you guys picked me to be here in this play and I picked you. And a lot of people do believe that the spirit, when there was a miscarriage or abortion, knew they weren't going to be here. But then I also believe in free will. If you have an abortion, you're making the free will to abort the baby. That's not, but then some people say the baby knew that, yet you think you had the free will and you don't. So it's a really tricky subject because some people believe there's free will, but then they're like, wait a minute, there's not a free will if you had the contract coming in. So I just think that's a belief system on what people believe.
I think it's a hybrid. I think there's certain things we chose before we came in, and then the rest we chose in the moment. Like those books, you can go choose your ending.
Choose your own adventures.
Well, I think there are options along the path. I think that's what you mean, where you do have free will choices that will make you go down path A, like be a lawyer, or B, be an accountant. But then some people would be like, well, you think you have that free will. It was preordained before. So how do you know it's true? But I think that I know spiritual awakening usually comes after trauma. Usually when someone gets on this path and the gifts opening up and the, connecting with the divine or whatever you want to call it, the spirit world, whatever, usually it does take a spiritual awakening. Like you hear like drug addicts hit rock bottom and find God, or someone in jail, hits rock bottom and finds God. So if you look at a lot of the public mediums out there or spiritual teachers, they have a past. Like people think, like try to put us on this thing like, oh, you got to be a holy roller, you got to be this, you can't smoke, you can't drink, you can't swear. I start galleries, I'm like, I'm a swear. That's who I am as a human. I'm authentic, But to me, is if I didn't go through the stuff I went through, or you didn't go through what you did, or anybody, how do you gain wisdom or compassion or non-judgment if you didn't screw up yourself? If you didn't go through this, you'd be selfish, or just, you're not even selfish, you just don't care. So I really think that why we have these past experiences that are painful is so that we can help other people. It's kind of like in AA, if somebody is an alcoholic, they tell them to get a sponsor, right? I can't help an alcoholic because I've never been through AA. I mean, I can try to help, okay, but a person that was an alcoholic, went through the program, is going to know how to help the person that they're sponsoring. So I think there is a reason we do go through all these things.
I think that's such an important thing. And obviously doing the work we do, people come to us because they're in pain.
Yeah.
Not really just to grow. There's always some type of pain point that's so motivating. And, I call it fertilizer.
Yeah.
Because what is fertilizer made of, right?
Shit.
And and if people could really trust that kind of rock bottom or painful thing in your life is not a punishment, it is something.
It's actually a gift.
Yeah.
If you live through it. I mean, I'm telling you, I was really depressed, and I never had depression issues my whole life. And so much had happened to me. I was really depressed. I'm like, Jesus, I want to check out of here. But I was a mom, so I knew, and now I can actually. That time was absolute hell. It's like the dark night of the soul. It just sucked, okay? Most painful thing, I understand why some people can't get through it, I toughed it out. I didn't go to counseling. I think therapy would definitely help a lot of people. But I guess you gain strength by the stuff you go through. And I can actually look back on it now with gratitude, because I would not be where I am right now. I wouldn't be talking to you. My gifts wouldn't be open. I wouldn't even know this side of myself or become who I am at a soul level if I didn't go through those things.
I think too, when people use the term spiritual development, I really think spiritual development is consciously choosing to discipline yourself, i.e. put yourself in an uncomfortable position, like having to meditate or having to abstain from certain foods or whatever you're trying to do. You have to create some friction place in order for, if we talk about faults, like the fault of a mountain, that's how you get in.
Right.
And I think it's more about that than it is even about, I don't know, doing good deeds or something.
Yeah. I think we're all just trying to find our way home, right? So, and I think that the spiritual growth we do in this lifetime is definitely going to benefit us for our next lifetime. But I think it is. It's all about human compassion and love, and none of us are perfect. I don't care if you're the Pope. He's done something, I'm sure too. Sorry, Pope. But we're all have a life. We all have a history.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's really important on the journey. I think the spiritual journey is about more growth, and I think one of the universal laws is self accountability and looking at yourself. And I'm a huge believer in people get stuck in the victim mode. So they're going to sit there and blame, oh, my mom was a drug addict, or this happened to me, or I was raped, or this and that. Yes, that happened to you. I'm sorry. But it's your responsibility to heal. So maybe that thing that happened to you that was negative broke you, but maybe it's there to fix you and teach you, because you're going to learn how to heal yourself. And then in turn, they can go and help somebody else that had the same issue.
So we firmly believe that, right? In that taking personal responsibility for everything that you go through. And, I call them pivotal moments, where you come across this experience in your life, and you have the opportunity to learn from it, to change, to then, carry that on and teach other people that are in your life.
Right.
And some people choose it and some people don't. And then they keep running into the same lesson over and over and over again. It's not
going to go away until you get it. You'll keep hitting brick walls.
Right.
And again, I think a lot of, especially with traumatic events as a child, some people just keep hanging on to that stuff. They don't find that way to let it go, or at least, they talk about forgiveness is huge, but sometimes forgiveness can be as simple as just understanding why the other person did it. Because you're never going to forget. I'm sorry, you're just not.
Right.
So I think that these things that happen to us are there to use as a point of growth and learning. And
I always describe it like this: if you're driving down the street and you start texting and you jump up on the sidewalk with your car and you run somebody over and break their leg, whose fault is it?
Yeah.
100%, right?
Yeah.
But the person who's got the broken leg can't say to you, you wear the cast and you go to physical therapy because it's your fault and you're the one who did it.
Right.
That's not going to help them heal at all. And so we can break each other, but we can only heal ourselves. And I really think that's a beautiful design, because we have control over that healing or lack thereof. And I hope it is all true, that it's all for us and for a purpose. And it's not just that we're in this random crappy place.
It's all possible, right? No, a lot of people say Earth is hell, or they call it the spiritual kindergarten. We're all here to learn, or, learn karmic lessons or whatever, or do better, And right now in my head, I'm just hearing it's all divinely orchestrated. I'm channeling that right now. And everything that happens, I'm just channeling now, you guys. Everything that happens is perfectly designed for you, by you. You chose your lessons, and, I can tell you, myself included, and how many people were like, damn, did we really sign up for this? What are we doing? Why did I meet you? But, people talk about soulmates, they're like, oh, I got to marry my soulmate. Sometimes your soulmate might be the person that's going to give you the hardest lesson.
Yeah.
Sometimes the person, I really believe this, the person that breaks your heart and hurts you worse than anybody else very well could be the soul in the spirit world that loves you the most.
I agree.
And they
with
agreed to be the person to hurt you.
Wow.
So that your soul would benefit from that and wake up.
I always think about that. If if there was like a power outage and you're in the dark and no one's supposed to be in your house, and you go in there and you're looking for your candles and you bump into a body, and how terrifying that is.
That would scare the hell out of me.
Right? And then they light a match and it's just your neighbor coming to check on you. You're like, oh, thank God. And I think when we're here, we're in that darkness. And when people hurt us and bump into us, it's terrifying.
Right.
But it's all love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's, I mean, and I also believe, I don't think there's one way for everybody. Like my journey was very fast and I was like working right away with no training because it was just an ability I could do. And I definitely believe that, you know, my soul decided, okay, like, well, it's kind of weird. But one of the dreams I had at the beginning was, and this is when I didn't understand what the hell was happening to me. I was like, I gotta go to sleep. This is fun. You know, it's like, it really, this lady all dressed in gold came to me in my sleep and she passed me a crystal ball and she goes, we are now one. So then I woke up and I'm talking to a friend of mine. I'm like, what the hell's happening to me? Because it was all so new. And when you know when it's first new, like you're on cloud nine. You're like, oh, this is so cool. This is happening. This, you know. And at the time, I'm like, maybe she's a guide or whatever. Now I realize it was my higher self. So sometimes I think we give power away saying it's a guide, it's this, which we all, I'm sure, have guides and all that. But I don't think we ever give credit to ourselves that our soul is that strong.
What is your name on your birth certificate?
Sheri.
It's not Sharon.
No.
I was thinking that because with the letter N, they say that if you have N as a predominant letter in your name, you don't really go through an epiphany because everything's kind of already on.
Oh.
That's what I was thinking when you were saying that, if maybe you were Sharon.
Yeah, and I remember like people are like, you know, a lot of, you know, all my friends now are psychics and mediums and we all read each other. They're like, you were always a medium. I'm like, well, I didn't wake up to my 40s. So a big main message for me too is I'm not perfect. I went through hell like everybody else. And if this can happen to me, why can't it happen to you?
Right.
You know, you don't have to be a churchgoer or be a perfect person. I'd probably say the more people have spiritual awakenings have done bad things or have gone through hell or been a victim or whatever, right? But where was I going to tell you about the one dream? I just lost my train of thought, so you're going to have to edit this out.
It's okay. It's okay.
It'll come back. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Now, what do you say to people who are like, oh, this is all woo-woo, and, you know, when we die, we're done. There's no such thing as afterlife or
That's always
spirits
a fun
coming.
one.
Yeah, right.
That happens. Yeah, we find, especially being a medium, you can get some very interesting bar conversations and dinner conversations, right? I find the people that do that are very religious and have been raised very religious and follow that philosophy of whatever their parent raised them as or whatever they choose to be. And I just share, I'm like, well, I'm going to tell you, it's just my experience, my truth. And, you know, I can just hope that it plants a seed and then maybe like 5 years down the road, you know, I have a little conversation with them and just say, hey, this is my experience. I feel spirit. I come and see my event or get a reading. And all we can do is hope that we planted that seed and maybe 5 years down the line that they'll have their aha moment. Because I really think a lot of people don't get into this until they've gone through something hard.
I think too, I remember as a very small child, like under the age of 8, I was at church and the priest said, imagine a bird flying all the way to the sun, picking up a grain of sand and flying all the way back. And by the time it did that so many times that the sun was over here, that would just be the beginning of forever. Yeah. And I remember thinking, crap. and I wish that I didn't exist at all, because now that I exist, I can't not exist.
Right.
And I think it's a defensive thing that says, no, when we die, we're dead and there isn't any more, and we get to not have to be in this pain anymore.
Well, I keep saying I don't want to come back here again, but
right?
I'm like, Jesus, we're nuts.
I don't want to go through this stuff again, right?
But I do believe now it's a real cool time, though, because I believe so many people, like millions of people, are spiritual awakening. Just even look on Facebook, people are like, what the hell's happening to me? This is happening. This is happening. So I do believe that we're here for this wake-up call for people on Earth to come together collectively so that we do raise the vibration of Earth. And maybe when we all like say prayers, like I say prayers, like, you know, God, you know, guide our world leaders, you know, Trump and China and, I mean, whatever country, you know, so that we have world peace. And that's why I really think that there are a lot of people now, hundreds of thousands that are, or millions, waking up to raise the vibration of the collective.
Yeah.
Now, when you say God, what do you mean?
That's interesting. So here's another experience I had. So at the very beginning, I was right around that angel hug. So right now I'm like clairaudient, but there's different views on that. Sometimes people say they're clairaudient and they're just hearing telepathically. Then, true clairaudience is actually like hearing it in your ear like you're talking to me. So I've had both. And one day I was in my bedroom. They always get me naked, or I don't know why, but I swear to God.
They want a spoon.
Nothing
It's
to
not a
hide.
pretty sight.
There's nothing to hide.
So
right?
that I'm naked, getting in the shower. That's why I think I've had so many wild experiences, because they want me to share these wild stories because it's entertaining to the listener, maybe. I seriously, because my journey's been like off the wall, crazy, like fun. So they definitely, the angels and stuff in my soul have a sense of humor. So all of a sudden I heard this man's voice, like authoritative, really firm voice in my ear, like you're talking to me. And it lowers his voice, go to church. It was like a man's low. And I'm like, I jumped. I'm like, ah! I'm like, what? And I'm looking around like, okay. And then it yelled at me again louder. And it goes, go to church now. God's waiting. And I was like, oh shit, I'm going to church. You get a message like that, you
got to go.
you're
Yeah.
responding. So I jumped in the shower. I went to the church. I go in the church. It wasn't a mass. It was just like, probably noon on a weekday. And I'm like, hey dude, I'm here. What's up? I heard nothing. But my version of God is, it's everything. I mean, I was shown in meditation what God was. And I was shown, and I flunked biology, guys. We took a get a D. I know nothing about planets and all this stuff. And I was in a workshop for like 8 hours meditating. And I had this legal pad and I was drawing pictures and writing words, but I was meditating and my eyes were closed. Next thing you know, I drew like the Milky Way and then a nucleus. I never knew there was a nucleus in the Milky Way. I still don't know. And then I drew an atom. And they showed me that this little red atom was God. So that's like source energy. Everyone gives it a different name. But then they showed me like a bunch of like legs coming off of it, like, like spiders' legs, showing us that we're all an aspect of God. So I kind of feel like, yes, there is a higher power, but I also kind of feel we are too. We're an expression of God. So when you believe in oneness and one is everything, we're all a piece of it.
I was reading earlier this morning. I'm reading The Interior Castle by St. Teresa of Avila. And she said, you should love your neighbor because you can know that you love your neighbor, but you can't know that you're really loving God. And that the only way we can love our neighbor is because the root of that love is in God. And she explained it like a tree, right? It's very similar to what you're saying, is that the roots are in this deep place and we're like this branch way over here just trying to like love the branch next to us,
Yeah.
And that's...
Well, I just think like, again, think of it just common. I mean, yes, I saw this atom. There definitely, I feel, is a source energy. Again, until I'm dead, but I'm just going by what I was shown.
Mm-hmm.
I was shown an atom, meaning source energy, God. But then we're all an aspect of that or an expression of God.
Well, Adam, right?
That's what funny
Adam and
is.
Eve,
Isn't
Adam.
Isn't that funny? So, but think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
like, if you're me and I'm you, like in oneness, we're all connected. So it's just kind of, we're all just players,
Yeah.
until we go home.
And we've chosen these roles.
Apparently. Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
The people be like, well,
Right.
wait a minute. I'm a homeless guy and I've been homeless my whole life. Why did I choose this? Maybe you need to learn from something like, from that.
Yeah, I think the most difficult lessons we'll ever have are through the people who are closest to us.
Oh, they're your best teachers. Jesus. Your spouses and your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're your best teachers.
And it isn't the fun parts.
Patience
it's
is a virtue,
it's the painful
right?
parts. Yeah.
That definitely will teach you that virtue. Yeah, so I definitely believe there's like a soul family or soul tribe. Who knows? Maybe we are. Maybe that's why we're all sitting here.
Yeah.
Maybe this was all agreed upon and, we're all at the same vibration or we're all helping each other and trying to help others. And I just think that, definitely synchronistically, we have agreements. I think there is a destiny that we do have a destiny to meet certain people. And even if it's just for like 10 minutes and you meet them in a restaurant, but some relationships I think are meant to be forever, or you're meant to be a spouse or the kid, or, it just, there's no way it can't. Like, have you ever like met somebody and you're like, oh my God, I got to talk to you. That happens to me all the time now. I see people and like they glow to me. I'm like, okay, I got to talk to you. I don't know why. So when you get that feeling, go talk to them.
We always believe that everything happens for a reason,
Yeah.
right? And, when you were talking earlier about usually the people that you come across who are naysayers, they have really firm religious beliefs. I've encountered that too.
It's hard.
But I've also encountered people who were brought up very religious and they are rebelling against that. Like they, and those people have the same kinds of beliefs as well, that there isn't anything afterwards. But the conversations I have with them is if it's either everything happens for a reason or nothing happens for any reason. And I would rather believe that everything happens for a reason. Otherwise, all the suffering and pain and things that we go through would be just random and for nothing. And that's just really depressing.
Well, I think too I think when you get on the spiritual journey and spiritual path, you learn to roll with these hard times. Like, if life's an illusion, I truly believe, and from my own experience, that our thoughts can really create our depression, our sadness, our worries, and all that. So I think that a big part of this is mastering the mind or the brain and having that self-awareness. Like when a negative thought's coming in your head, I'm always like, catch that guy right when it's coming in and change it.
Yeah.
You have to, because our minds or our brains can really screw us up.
Yeah. There's that idea of lower level thought and then higher level thought.
Affirmations. People do affirmations and stuff. It really, I'm here in the rabbit hole. So many people, you go down this rabbit hole and then you're going to find your way out of it, And it really does come down to just get back into the flow, synchronicity, the now moment, whatever word you want to give it. Let the world, my journey was so fast and I was doing readings right away. I'm like, how'd that happen? So many people try to build a business. I didn't, it just comes. So that's when I know I must be in alignment, soul alignment, and doing what I'm supposed to do, and it's my passion, as you guys are. And to me too, some people get disappointed, this didn't work out. Well, guess what? Maybe there's something better coming. It's give up control and just let life come to you.
If there is one thing you could say to the people listening to this right now, and we're going to assume that whoever is listening to this is listening to it because you're supposed to be listening to it. Do you have a message?
Don't be afraid. And just feel like be you, be afraid. I think that, don't be afraid. I think that so many people are conformed and forced into this box. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be you and express how you want to express. And it's really huge to know that we're not alone, We all feel lonely, we all have times of despair or crying. Talk to your loved ones, look for those signs. And I'm 100% believer in, like I said, I work with the archangels. Invite them in. I'm not special. They're there for everybody. Say, hey, I invite Archangel Michael and I invite my dead grandma in. Ask the spirit world or whatever you believe in to help you. And just know that you're going to be okay. And when we go through those hard times or depressed times or bad times, it's going to pass. So don't give up on life. It's going to pass. Maybe it is there for a reason, Because, if I didn't go to that place, I wouldn't be doing this. If I would have quit, So don't quit. Just ride through it as easily as you can.
So if you would like to hear more about Sheri and her connection to Spirit World, we are going to be hosting a workshop at the Lighthouse Emotional Wellness Center in Arlington Heights, Illinois on May 13th at 7 p.m. And you can reach us at contact@couplesynergy.com for more information.
And if someone wanted to contact you directly, Sheri, do you have a way for them to do that?
Yeah. So my website's very simple, SheriTheMedium.com. And all of my events are there, the reading information.
Can
all that
you
stuff
spell Sheri?
Sheri.
Well, Sheri, we want to thank you so much for being on the podcast today. This has been pretty raw and revealing for me, but it's been
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Hey, you guys, he cried too. He had tears. He didn't show. You guys can't see that.
We all cried.
Right.
Yeah.
And we hope that by listening to this episode, it was not only beneficial for your life, but also your relationships.
I want to thank you all out there for listening to Couple Synergy. Our passion is in helping couples have happy and healthy relationships, and this podcast gives us a fun way of bringing our knowledge and expertise to you, our listeners. For all of you listening, please subscribe to our podcast and please leave us a review. If you have any questions, comments, or topic suggestions, please email us at contact@couplesynergy.com.
And if you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please download it and share it. And if you contact us at couplesynergy.com if you email us at contact@couplesynergy.com, we can also give you a little promo code if you're going to do some work with Sheri.
For more information about Couple Synergy and our programs such as Relationship 101, the Couples Weekend Intensive, and our premier program called Couple to Couple, look us up online at couplesynergy.com. Until next time, synergize your life, synergize your love.
You have been listening to Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Couple Synergy was recorded, edited, and produced by Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Voiceover and music entitled Breathe and Let Go was recorded and composed by Gina Gonzalez.